Okay, I understand. We're going to ruffle some feathers in this video. I'm going to talk about some very good running backs that are going at the very top of your fantasy football drafts for a reason. And I'm going to be talking about why I think you should actually go ahead and pass on these guys this upcoming season. Now, of course, I value your opinion. And I know that a lot of y'all watching this video, the majority of y'all watching this video are probably smarter than me, better at fantasy football than I am. So please feel free to go to the comment section, leave a comment letting me know what I am wrong about in this video. Now, don't just go down there and say, Mason, you're an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe that's true, but at the same time, please at least give that explanation on why I'm an idiot and how I am missing something when it comes to this evaluation. But while you're down there, also go down there and drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football, and let's go ahead. Let's dive into these early round running backs that I think we should be avoiding in fantasy football in 2022. First running back, Ezekiel Elliott. Now, with Zeke, it's already baked into his price that this is going to be a down season for him compared to what you've historically seen, because this is the cheapest that we have ever seen Ezekiel Elliott. I'm pretty sure that even his rookie season, Ezekiel Elliott wasn't falling to the end of the third round of your fantasy football drafts. Now, with Ezekiel Elliott, there are some massive red flags, but before we get to those red flags, let me at least talk about some positives on his profile. If we go ahead and look at the overall career game log for Ezekiel Elliott, this is a running back that simply does not miss time. Now, I know his second year, you're going to see only 10 games played, but remember, Ezekiel Elliott dealt with a 6-game suspension that season. So if we remove that little 6-game stretch from his overall career log, you are going to see that Ezekiel Elliott is most likely the best talent when it comes to managing a full-time workload and staying healthy. We know that availability is one of the most important abilities that your running backs can have. This is the exact opposite of what we've seen with a Saquon Barkley. This is the opposite of what we've seen with someone like Christian McCaffrey. That's a massive check on a reason why you should draft Ezekiel Elliott. Another reason you should be excited to draft Ezekiel Elliott is if we look at Ezekiel Elliott in the context of this Dallas Cowboys offense, nobody here should be surprised if Dallas is number one in the NFL in this upcoming season in overall points scored. You know why you shouldn't be surprised? Because last year, they were number one in the NFL in points scored, and they pushed the pace of play. This was an offense that had the fastest team overall in 2019, 2020, and 2021 on average, getting a snap off every 26 seconds in game-neutral environments. That's going to be within a touchdown score, and on top of that, outside of the 2-minute drill. So this is going to be an offense that has a ton of volume. This is a running back that has shown the ability to handle a massive workload. Hell, you can get excited for those reasons. And as we said, Ezekiel Elliott is the cheapest he has ever been in his NFL career. Now, a couple other positives before we get to the negatives. While maybe I want to go through and hyper focus on the lack of production we've seen over the past 2 years, the massive drop off in efficiency, there is a strong counter argument to be made from anybody watching this video. You can go down to the comment section and you can tell me, oh, Mason, did you not know he had a partially torn PCL this past year? That's why he looks so bad. Oh, Mason, did you not know in 2020, Dak Prescott missed half the season? That's why this offense was so bad. You can go out there and you can make excuses over the past 2 years for Ezekiel Elliott, and it would be fair. But what I am truly worried about, not necessarily just this past season, not necessarily just the season before that. This is a continued trend for Ezekiel Elliott. If we go ahead and if we just map out, oh dear God, his rushing yards per game through his NFL career. This is a running back that's gone from 108 rushing yards a game as a rookie, down to 98, down to 95, down to 84, down to 65. Down to 58. So while yes, maybe you want to make excuses for his past 2 seasons in the dramatic drop-off, I would be much more willing to listen to those excuses if it wasn't a continued trend that we've seen from Ezekiel Elliott. And while it's incredibly impressive that he's been able to handle this type of workload through his NFL career, maybe at the same time, it's almost a reason we should be looking to avoid him. Because with Ezekiel Elliott, if you count up his touches both as a rusher, a receiver in the regular season, and in the Dallas Cowboys playoff performances, you have Ezekiel Elliott with over 2,000 career touches. The only other running back in the NFL that's had as many touches as Ezekiel Elliott is currently Mark Ingram. So we're starting to put pieces of this puzzle together. We're starting to see that Ezekiel Elliott has been a significantly downgraded running back in terms of his overall production, really since his rookie season. And you're looking at this massive workload, and probably makes sense that a running back with this type of load can't continue to dominate the way he did at the beginning of his NFL career. And the nail in the coffin, in my opinion, for Ezekiel Elliott is looking at another running back in the same offense and looking at the production that that running back has had over the past 3 years. This is, of course, Tony Pollard. Now, I am not of the opinion, you see those crazy people on Twitter that have gone off the deep end that think that Tony Pollard is better than Ezekiel Elliott. That's not my opinion at all. I think Ezekiel Elliott is a more talented running back than Tony Pollard, despite Tony Pollard being a much more efficient player on a per touch basis. If we go through and look at the past 3 years, Tony Pollard's been much more efficient than Ezekiel Elliott. 2021, Tony Pollard, 5.5 yards per carry, Ezekiel Elliott, 4.2. 2020, Tony Pollard, 4.3 yards per carry, Ezekiel Elliott, 4. 2019, Tony Pollard, 5.3 yards per carry, Ezekiel Elliott, 4.5. Now, there are a couple of reasons for this. I mean, here you have Tony Pollard more as the passing down running back, the guy that's going to be in there in the 2-minute drill. So with Tony Pollard, he's going to see some boxes that aren't stacked as Ezekiel Elliott. And on top of this, he's going to be in there and he's going to get the third and draw. And if you're getting the third and draw, just inherently, that touch is going to be a lot more valuable than where Ezekiel Elliott's having to grind out the 2nd and 1 touch. So naturally, the role that Tony Pollard has should bring more efficient play overall compared to Ezekiel Elliott. But still, to see this stark contrast, it does at least bring into mind that maybe Pollard is a very good running back. And I'm not saying he's better than Ezekiel Elliott, but maybe they are comparable. Maybe they are comparable. So if that's going to be the case, and we've seen Ezekiel Elliott rack up over 2,000 career touches at this point, wouldn't it not make sense for this Dallas Cowboys offense to begin to use more Tony Pollard as they have over the past 3 years? We've seen the Ezekiel Elliott production just in a consistent decline since his rookie season. And Tony Pollard has been the exact opposite. Tony Pollard has been consistently trending in the right direction. If we go ahead and look at Tony Pollard's carries per game throughout his NFL career, you start off at 5.7, go to 6.3, in this past year, 8.7. So I am now of the opinion that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be a running back that has a capped ceiling overall. And if we check out Underdog Fantasy, he's going in round 3. And you're getting David Montgomery as a 5th round running back on Underdog Fantasy. He falls to the 5th in every single draft. And Josh Jacobs falls to the 6th in almost every single draft as well. So I'm going to prefer passing on Ezekiel Elliott in the 3rd, possibly getting someone like Jalen Waddle there, possibly getting someone like DJ Moore there. And then in the 6th round, I'll bring in Josh Jacobs. Whereas if we look at taking Ezekiel Elliott in the 3rd round, then all of a sudden in the 6th, the wide receiver that you're getting at that pick is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, I'm looking at the combination of Jalen Waddle and Josh Jacobs and getting significantly more excited than the combination of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Ezekiel Elliott. So I'm passing on Zeke this year. It is painful to say. He is a great running back, one of the best running backs in the NFL over the past 5 years. But I'd rather be out on Zeke too early than out on Zeke too late. And of course, if you want to go hop into some real money fantasy football drafts, if you think that Ezekiel Elliott should be drafted in the 3rd round, should be drafted in the 4th, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy through the link in the description, link in the live chat, link in the comment section. And over there on Underdog Fantasy, you can have a ton of fun getting into real money fantasy football drafts. Today, I've already done over 300 of these drafts. I'm sure that y'all have seen me drafting these teams on the live stream, which I do every single day. On top of that, you can get into drafts in the public lobby, draft with us on the live stream. And when you sign up and you use promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll get our 2022 rankings, our dynasty rankings, our dynasty rookie rankings, our dynasty rookie draft guide. Most importantly, you can have some fun. You can hop into those real money fantasy drafts. But now let's go to the running backs that people are going to get really mad at. Let's go to the running backs that people are going to scream at me in the comment section for. And let's start it off with someone that I was going to bat for week in and week out last year, DAndre Swift. Now, do y'all remember how I was standing alone on an island, alone by myself, starving on that deserted island, telling people that DAndre Swift was a massive value in round 3, a massive value in round 4, while you had the haters coming out saying, oh no, Jamal Williams going to be in a committee. No, that doesn't matter, because with DAndre Swift, let's talk about the positives on his profile. He's one of the best pass catching running backs in the NFL. Detroit has a very good offensive line at the same time. DAndre Swift averaged 6 targets a game last year, 6 targets a game, a 17% team target share. We said it last year. I'll say it this year. I'll say it next year. DAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, these guys are just the new age version of Aaron Jones and Alvin Kamara. They're the guys that are going to get every target out of the backfield, and they're going to get usage in the red zone. They're going to get every valuable touch in their NFL offense, even if it doesn't mean they're getting every carry. Hell, the carries between the 20-yard lines don't even matter. They don't equal fantasy points. I don't care if Jamal Williams takes those. But now we have to reevaluate DAndre Swift. Just because I loved Swift last year, I truly did, in the 3rd and 4th round, doesn't mean that I have to now be like everybody else and love him when he's going at the top half of the 2nd round, when sometimes he's sneaking into the very end of the 1st. Because if I go ahead and I look at DAndre Swift, I say, yes, this is a running back that's the same exact talent we knew he was. He is that elite level pass catcher that we knew he was coming out of Georgia, that we knew he was going into last season. However, what has changed in this Detroit Lions passing offense? Instead of DAndre Swift going up against, say, someone like Khalif Raymond, instead of DAndre Swift going up against rookie season Amon-Ra St. Brown, where we didn't even know if he was going to be good, instead of that being DAndre Swift's target competition, now you have actually capable receivers, capable pass catchers in Detroit, where Jared Goff doesn't have to check down the ball every single time he drops back. Y'all know Aaron Jones is one of my favorite running back targets in the 2nd round. He's going behind DAndre Swift. And my thesis on loving to draft Aaron Jones is Davante Adams is gone. That's going to equal a larger receiving role for Aaron Jones in Green Bay. DAndre Swift almost has the opposite issue this season, because now we know that Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like one of the better slot wide receivers in the NFL. On top of this, we know that TJ Hawkinson is looking like he's going to emerge going into the final year of his rookie contract, where you usually see tight end breakout and possibly going to be a top 5 tight end in the NFL. On top of this, they bring in DJ Chark for almost $10 million a year. DJ Chark, a much better receiver than Khalif Raymond. And last but not least, they go and they sign Jameson Williams. So the opposite of what's happening in Green Bay right now, where Aaron Jones is getting a larger piece of his overall passing offense with the departure of Davante Adams, DAndre Swift, in my opinion, is almost in a worse situation. His slice of the Detroit Lions passing offense pie is actually going to get smaller with all these additional weapons in Detroit. Now, no, that doesn't mean that DAndre Swift is going to be worse than what he was last year when he was the running back 10 on a per game basis, because I think this offense can get better. But while I love drafting DAndre Swift at the end of the 3rd, the beginning of the 4th last year, I don't know if I can love drafting DAndre Swift at the end of the 1st, the beginning of the 2nd this season. If he was going behind guys like Aaron Jones, sure, I could buy in. But as I've always said, DAndre Swift and Aaron Jones, they're the same player. But now Aaron Jones has less target competition and he's playing with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, A.J. Dillon is going to get carries on 1st and 2nd down. A.J. Dillon is going to get the carries between the 20-yard lines. But so is Jamal Williams in Detroit. DAndre Swift averaged 46% of his carries on a per game basis this past year. Now, that's not the reason we're not drafting DAndre Swift. It's just that Aaron Jones is going to be a better option later in your drafts. Now, let's go ahead. Let's dive into our next running back, Austin Ekeler. I'm going to keep it very brief. Ekeler right now is going as a borderline top 5 pick, depending on where you're drafting. Now, with Austin Ekeler, this was a running back that I was completely fine drafting last season, but I think that people are almost getting ahead of themselves on Ekeler, because this is a running back that's being drafted as the running back 3 in a ton of fantasy football leagues right now. And that makes sense on the surface, because Austin Ekeler, he was the running back 3 last year? He was the running back 3 last year with an elite breakout with Justin Herbert at quarterback. So if he was the running back 3 last year, doesn't that mean we should draft him yet again as the running back 3 this upcoming season? And I'm looking at it saying, well, you do have an elite level offense. While on top of that, Austin Ekeler is an elite level player in terms of what he gives you as a pass catcher. What I am very worried about is overall regression for Austin Ekeler to go back closer to what he was in 2020, his rookie season with Justin Herbert. Because in 2020, Ekeler still was dominant as a receiver. He averaged 6.5 targets a game. But what was different? What was different was the most volatile statistic, the most volatile category in fantasy football. You actually had a total of 3 touchdowns in 2020 for Austin Ekeler. That number jumped to 20 this past season in Los Angeles. Now, I don't think he's going to score 3 touchdowns again, but I also don't think it's going to score 20. I think that you see Austin Ekeler as a running back that probably gets a little bit closer to 10, 11, 12 touchdowns. And I think that drops Austin Ekeler back down to where he's been on average over the past 3 years. I think Eckler's going to be closer to about the running back 6 finish. And this is all without the other slight red flags that you have on his profile. I mean, the main thing I'm talking about with Ekeler, and I don't think you should be drafting him just easily at the very top of your fantasy football draft, the thing you should at least think about it is going to be that touchdown regression. But small red flags that I would bring up. This is a running back that's going to be 27 years old this upcoming season. Historically, that's the running back age cliff. And beyond him being 27, he should have the most talented running back that he has seen alongside him in his backfield since Melvin Gordon left to Denver. You should have Isaiah Spiller coming in and Isaiah Spiller having a workload in Los Angeles. Austin Ekeler saw his highest carry percentage in this backfield of his NFL career this past year at about 52%. In 2020, that was at 39%. And in 2020, do you know the running backs that were in this Los Angeles Chargers backfield? Keep in mind, you already had Melvin Gordon gone. Melvin Gordon was already in Denver. So the running backs that were playing alongside him, you had Joshua Kelly, you had Kalen Ballage, you had Justin Jackson. None of whom are anything close to Isaiah Spiller. I think Isaiah Spiller has a smallish role in this offense, eating into Austin Ekeler just a little bit. I'm worried about the age with Austin Ekeler, but most importantly, I'm worried that, hell, he may not score 3 touchdowns again, but he's not scoring 20. Austin Ekeler's total touchdowns through his NFL career, rookie season 5, second year 6, third year 11, 2 years ago 3, this past year 20. One of those years looks like an outlier compared to the rest. Now, our last running back, he's going back-to-back with Austin Ekeler. And I'll say on Underdog Fantasy right now, you can draft Derrick Henry. On Underdog Fantasy, I see Derrick Henry consistently falling to like pick 10. And oh, dear God, if you're getting Derrick Henry at pick 10, take him every day of the week. But I'm talking about more casual PPR drafts, very similar to someone like Austin Ekeler. I'll see Derrick Henry sliding up to be a top 3 running back drafted. I'll see him go ahead of someone like Cooper Kupp, ahead of someone like Justin Jefferson. And based on the red flags, I can't get there. Now, of course, I have to admit that Derrick Henry has the ceiling to crush that pick. Derrick Henry has it in his range of outcomes to go out there and dominate that. He was the running back 1 last year on a points per game basis. He had his best workload of his career. 85% of his team's carries on a per game basis and almost an 8% team target share. We've never seen that from Derrick Henry before. We've never seen that from Henry. Now, keep in mind, let's take a step back and let's look at some red flags, because I'll be the first person to admit there are a lot of positives. We know that he's elite. We know he's an outlier. And we know this offense wants to run the ball over and over and over again. If we look at the past 3 years in game-neutral environments, Tennessee is the second most run-heavy offense, only behind the Baltimore Ravens in game-neutral environments. Now, to get to some of these red flags, the number one thing that I'm going to have is just serious offensive regression for the Tennessee Titans with no A.J. Brown. I know a lot of people want to assume, hell, this means they'll run the ball more. They can't run the ball more. They don't think they'll lean even more on Derrick Henry. It's not possible. I think that you will see less trips to the red zone. I think you'll see less points overall for this upcoming season, because if we look at Ryan Tannehill's performance with and without A.J. Brown, it's hilarious, the difference. You see Tannehill in games where A.J. Brown plays averaging 1.85 touchdowns per game. That drops to less than 1 touchdown a game. Less than 1 touchdown a game with no A.J. Brown. And the biggest sign of it all is going to be the drop off in his adjusted yards per pass attempt. You actually see the passing yards fall. You see them fall in games where A.J. Brown does not play. However, the passing attempts go up. This is just a significantly worse offense overall with no A.J. Brown. And on top of this, Derrick Henry turned 28 at the very beginning of this year. And if we just go back and look at the past 5 years, we look at since 2017, and we look at running backs that managed to be someone with 250 carries in a season that was 28 years old or older. You had Adrian Peterson in 2018. You had Frank Gore in 2017. And you had LaShawn McCoy in 2017. And here you had Adrian Peterson as the running back 29 that season. Frank Gore as the running back 28 that season. LaShawn McCoy as the running back 9 that season. The issue with aging at the running back position is inherently your efficiency falls off. So if I'm expecting that Derrick Henry's efficiency falls off based off what we've historically seen with Hall of Fame level running backs with this age, and then we're expecting the efficiency to fall off with the overall offense as well, I can't draft Derrick Henry if you're going to take him in the top 5. Now, if you're drafting on Underdog Fantasy and he falls to the end of round 1, hell yes, you draft him there every day of the week because the upside makes it worth it. But it's just all about the opportunity cost, and I would prefer guys like Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase over Derrick Henry. Now, please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, go to the comment section, let me know how stupid I am. You know, I love reading those comments. That's all I got for you. I really do appreciate you. I really hope you have a great day, and hope we get to see you with the video tomorrow.